because every other coach is motivated to get paid by the hour, right? So when a fitness coach works with you, they want you to get good, but they want you to keep working with them. So they're changing your workout all the time. They're doing all these reasons why you have to keep paying them. So when I took over the fitness company, we were like, well, what could be different? So this company, the focus is on making sure you don't need help, because it's a flat fee at the front and you never pay again. So because of that, as fast as possible, the coaches want to make sure you know what you're doing, so you never ask questions ever again, which is great for you because it's the cheapest it can possibly be. And it's great for them because the faster they get you what you want, the less you phone them. So the coaches are motivated to get you a result. You're motivated to get you a result, and everyone's happy.
Today on a Father's Flame podcast, we have Adam Lyons, who is the creator of the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint. He is the host of Smart Businesses Do This podcast. Adam has boosted the revenue for experts in over 1,900 small businesses since launching the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint in 2020. Beyond his own portfolio of growing companies, he is an advisor for over 500 brands and experts across the US and Canada. He has been featured on CNN, MSNBC, Business Insider, The Today Show, Forbes, The Daily Mail, and The New York Post. He has been awarded 2 different Wicked Smart Awards due to his innovative business strategies and multiple 2 Comma Club Awards. Companies he has worked for include PepsiCo, Nike, Nescafé, Discovery Digital Networks, and many smaller brands. Today, Adam lives on a ranch in Texas with his wife and their 5 children, where he helps hundreds of experts boost their revenues each year through the use of customer insight reports, smart upsells, and the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint. So welcome to a Father's Flame podcast, Adam, and thanks for being here today.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I really wanted to reach out to you. I see you as just an expert, just as an entrepreneur and investor. And I think there's a lot of value in that. But I do know you also have, several kids, and, any man who's, got upwards near 5 kids. I mean, that's a lot of work. There's a lot of insights there. So tell me a little bit about the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint, if you don't mind. Let's go into your what you created.
No problem. So, with helping companies grow, you realize that there are common mistakes people are making. And it occurred to me that there are 5 major areas of a small business that need addressing in order to make it grow. A small business is typically defined as any business doing less than $38.5 million a year in revenue, which pretty much makes up most of the businesses. And the strategies that are employed there and the problems they deal with tend to be very different than the ones, 40 million plus. The 5 areas are what the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint covers. And the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint is really simply just our standard operating procedures when we go into a company and need to fix an area. So it stands for staff, marketing, audience, revenue, and testimonials. Almost every company that is struggling as a small business is struggling with one or more of those problems. So if they have staffing problems, the staff aren't working, they don't know how to hire the right staff, then we bring in standard operating procedures for that. If they're struggling with marketing, getting the word out, developing their brand, identifying what they should be selling, then we bring in standard operating procedures for that. With audience, it's like, how are they reaching new leads? What platforms are they appearing on? How much authority do they have? And again, standard operating procedures for that. Revenue is all about sales teams, targets, generating revenue, upsells, cross-sells. And again, we have systems for that. And then lastly, the one thing that most companies forget is testimonials. Actually taking the time to ask for reviews or testimonials and getting people to put it out online. And it's the number one factor that's going to bring in repeat business, which is essentially leads for free, which you really can't say no to, because a lead can cost over $4,000. So it's really worth getting these free ones. And so again, we put those systems in. So that's the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint. We just identify what systems you don't have and then give them to you.
Interesting. I keep hearing you say systems. And so that's really attractive to me, because when you don't have systems, and I tend to not have systems, but as you learn them from other people, you're like, oh, dude, well, if I just do what he's doing, this makes so much easier. Right. So tell me about systems. I love what you said
about it being easier with systems, because that's exactly what it is, right? A system allows you to get a duplicable result. So when I was consulting for, almost 2,000 companies, I think maybe over 2,000 at this point, as you're helping them, you realize, oh, they really need this sales system implemented that we've used on these other 700 companies. And rather than reinvent the wheel, we're just like, well, let's just take that template. If we need to tweak it, we can. And that was how the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint was developed. It was just out of ease. I was like, well, I'll just write this one system down and we'll use it again and again and again and again. And that's kind of what we do. And you have to tweak things, but it doesn't have to be that bad. I'll give you a really good example. We did a sales promotion last night, actually. We did it at 7 p.m. Now, normally we do sales promotions at noon on a Saturday because we find that buyers who have nothing else to do, they're killing time. It's like a good time. Noon on a Saturday and the middle of the night tend to be really good times to get people to buy things, but the middle of the night isn't so good for live selling. It's a little bit better on Saturdays. But with Christmas Eve being Saturday, we thought, well, let's change the standard operating system and try a Thursday evening. Now, what's really cool about this is because we're all data driven, we ran a poll live to ask people, did they prefer the Thursday night or the Saturday? And we cross-referenced that with how many actual attendees we had and how long we'd promoted it for. Would you believe it that Thursday evening at 7 p.m. worked out about as good as a Saturday at noon, at least on Christmas week. So this will now be a system we will test again in the future when it isn't Christmas to see if Thursday evenings are also a good time to sell. We know that like weekdays don't tend to be very good, but there is a chance that Thursday evening's pretty good. So that's what we do. And then when we test it, we write it down and we know. But that wasn't the only thing we tested last night. We have a theory, and this is actually something that a buddy of mine, Ryan Moran, pointed out. They keep talking about this recession that we're supposedly in, but then they change the definition of what a recession is, and it doesn't feel like a regular recession, but the word is on everyone's lips. But it's easy to get a job right now. So normally in a recession, you can't get a job, but now it's easy to get a job. So what are we in? And Ryan worded it really well. He said, we're in what's called an asset price recession, which means that things that were once expensive are now less expensive. It's essentially a buyer's market, but it's not just in property, it's in absolutely everything. Now, what I like about this definition, because it really hit the nail on the head, is I had a theory that with the overload of these high ticket coaching people that have been around the last few years, which was, made popular probably about 10 years ago by Russ Ruffino, but then got drug away with him. I felt that there is now a shift to low ticket offers. So we tested selling what would normally be considered a high ticket offer, but we framed it as a low ticket offer by allowing people to pay over time. So it was normally $7,000. We reduced it to $6,000, payable at $500 a month over a year. What happened? We found the sales were probably about 35% higher than they were at the higher price point, which to us basically emphasized that this low ticket market is where we're moving into, that buyers are being smarter with their spending because of the perception of the recession. And now that will become a standard operating procedure for us for the next couple of years. It's $6,000 instead of $7,000. It's just payable over time. But people were like, I've never seen something this cheap. And I'm like, it's the same price except for $1,000. But they felt it was cheap because it was only $500 a month. So it just gives us insight into the psychology. And to me, that's what the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint's about. It's an adapting standard operating procedure. So we will now roll that out across all our clients and say, hey, how can we reframe what we're selling for you as bite-size payable chunks that ultimately ends up being a similar amount of money?
I like that. I guess what I was thinking, how when you go to buy a car, they're like, yeah, you don't have to buy it for $50,000 cash. Right. You can make the monthly payment,
Right.
So
exactly.
It makes it more tangible.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And I think what's cool about that is people are just being a little bit smarter. And this is something that I think it's worth people recognizing that's going on, because even if we are or are not in a recession, it doesn't matter. The psychology of customers right now is that there is one coming, or we're in one. Either way, it's a great time for smart business owners to alter their pricing model to make it an affordable option, or to make it purchasable via payments, whatever the thing is.
Yeah, you're definitely forward thinking. I like that you're sharing this with everyone. So is this predominantly like for like a product based business over like a service based business?
I don't think it matters at all. Ultimately, it's a perception of the buyers. The buyers are being smarter. So we own a physical retail store. And one of the first things we did when we recognized this is we built a sale rack. So now in our store, there is one set of shelves that are always on sale. So you can come in and be smart about buying. We still make a profit on that. It's less profit, but it's still good. And it's a great opportunity for us to get out old stock. Likewise, in our service-based business, we just offered a discount for people to jump on earlier. So it really doesn't matter the industry. It's just about being smarter about how you do things.
Yeah. And really flowing with the psychology of the kind of the masses of where everyone's taking us, because everyone is saying recession, and I've said it myself, and you have people in real estate. Right.
And the thing is, like, if we compare this to 2008, where no one could get a job and everyone was struggling, this isn't the same. You can go and get a job almost everywhere. There is a shortage of employees. You can get a job, but people don't want to work, and people want to be smarter about how they spend. So it's almost like an elevation of people's financial IQ is what's going on. And I think that's great. I think that's a really good thing. I was having a revelation, like internal revelation, talking to myself, in the hot tub, as you do. And I was thinking about this. I was like, during COVID, we saw the power move to essential workers. If you were selling to the rich and the elite, and you were a coach or you were running an event or something, it became very hard for you to make money. But if you were an Uber delivery driver, or you were doing Uber Eats, right? You had work, right? There was a lot to be done.
Sure.
And there were surcharges going on all the time. Like, there was more money to be made. And so the essential workers had the power. And it occurred to me that this recession that we're in, it really only affects the rich. It's only the people that are selling things at a premium that are being hit. The people that are still selling necessities, things at a price. And I think we might be seeing a retaliation to the uber wealthy showing off on Instagram, showing off these lavish lifestyles, as people are kind of not liking that anymore. And people want to see, the essential workers, the essential businesses. Give me the essential stuff. I want the bare bones. I don't want the frills, right? I don't need it to come in a fancy package. I just give me the thing that I want, and I don't want to overpay for it. And I think that's what we're seeing. And I think that's a really good thing ultimately.
Interesting. Yeah. So it affects the rich, but don't the rich always have money though?
Well, it depends how we define rich, right? Is it rich or uber rich? Because there's a difference. The uber rich, sure. Like I have a buddy of mine who, he manages like $50 billion or something. And he says to me, it doesn't matter if the economy goes up or down. He goes, when it goes down, everyone panics and comes and gives me their money. And when it goes up, everyone panics and comes and gives me their money. So he's like, so it doesn't matter to him. On the other hand, there are definitely companies that are maybe making 10, 15 million that are going to get hit by this because their profit margins are going to get eaten. And then they're going to have to look at staff that they don't have and so on and so forth. And that's going to cause a knock-on effect. A lot of tech companies that were overvalued, there's now been a market correction. They're now valued at what they actually should be, which is not a lot. FTX is a great example of that. And now all the money that was flowing, going there is gone. And the people that put money in are now hurting. And so they're being smarter about how they spend. Obviously, right? If you gave somebody a bunch of money thinking you were going to get rich and then they stole the money or made the money disappear, I don't want to accuse anything that hasn't been a trial yet.
Sure.
But now you're going to be like, well, I'm going to be smart with what I do with my money. And I'm not going to buy the $200,000 car that impresses people. I'm going to buy a $50,000 car that gets me to where I want to go. And I'm not going to care about what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
That's what I believe we're seeing.
So, yeah, speaking of this, let's talk about a little bit of wealth strategy, right? So you're an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of freedom with entrepreneurship. There's a lot of wealth to be made with entrepreneurship. And so, can you give us some of your strategies, like on a high level, essentially, like to other entrepreneurs, like with kind of wealth creation, and wealth preservation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a well generate money expert. Like I can pull money out my ass if I need to. And it comes down to me understanding a few simple things. When the entire world zigs, you zag. So when everybody else is selling high ticket, it's a great time to sell low ticket, which we have now tested and proven, right? Or at least internally, we know that's a thing. So as an entrepreneur, you want to think, what is the status quo and how can I say the exact opposite? So we own a fitness company, and the messaging in the fitness company is one of my favorite, because every other fitness company is like, we're going to get you ripped. You're going to have the great body. You're going to look great. You can get everything you want. The fitness company that I'm a co-owner in, I actually created the message, and the message is, you don't have to work out very often. It doesn't talk about results at all. It's just, you don't have to work out very often. And you can eat all your favorite foods. And the combination of those two things is really appealing to people who don't believe that they're going to get a six-pack and they're going to look amazing. And the whole promise is you're going to fit in your clothes better and feel healthier. That's it. Your clothes will fit better and you will feel healthier, which ultimately is what most people want. Most people just want that. It's nice to have abs, but I just want to kind of not be ashamed when I look in the mirror. And to do that level of fitness, you don't have to work out 5 days a week. You don't have to give up your favorite foods and eat salad every day, right? You can do this. And so the entire fitness program is, 2 simple workouts you can do every week, some basic nutrition help, and just maintain it and enjoy life. And, it's okay to drink, and it's really cool. It's a very different angle, but it sells well because people like that.
No, I like that. I mean,
right?
The more balanced life, like not everyone has, it's not your passion to like go do an hour in the gym every day. And it's like,
right.
It's not that fun to be there. I mean, once you're married, you got kids, we got other stuff to do, and we're building businesses. So no, I love that message. So I want to hear more about that.
15-minute workouts a week, and you can do them at home. That's it.
Oh,
it's easy.
That's interesting, because I've been working from home for just a little over a month now, but I heard a tip too, where I just want to get something done in a day, right? Whether it's like 15 push-ups or 20 push-ups. Right. I saw a guy, he put a pull-up bar outside his office, and he can't go into his office unless he's done like 10 pull-ups. And so I started copying that, and I'm like, well, at least I'll do like 30. I'm coming in and out a few times, but
brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. And that's what I love about this workout is it's really, really easy. And the other thing I like about it as well, and this is like really cool, it's built in the fact you're probably going to skip some workouts. That's part of it. It's like, yeah, you'll probably miss some, and that's okay. Because a lot of the others are like, oh, you missed a workout. It's like a thing. In this one, it's like, nah, it doesn't matter. Just pick it up again next week. It's okay. And because there's no guilt, right? There's no guilt around skipping the workout. You don't feel like you messed up. You're like, oh, that's fine though. I'm okay to miss some. It's okay. Part of the program. And that helps people.
Yeah, because you didn't lose. Like, because when you skip, you mentally, it's like you lied to yourself. Hey, I committed to this thing. So you're making the commitment not so unattainable, right? Is that the point? It's
easy. That's the whole point. It's stay in shape easy. I've been following it for 2 years. I was a customer first, and then I ended up investing in the company. And I love it. I think I skipped like 3 weeks of working out at one point, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, I've got abs. It was really weird because you'd think if I did the workouts, I'd have the abs. But I got the abs from not working out. But that's part of the science behind how it works. I know it sounds crazy.
That does sound crazy. Was it the diet then?
So it's a combination. So really what it's about is most people don't know what their diet should be. And this company sends off a sample of your stomach, as weird as that sounds, to a laboratory who come back and tell you what your gut biome is capable of processing. Wow. And so, for example, I always thought broccoli was good for me because I think every diet I've ever read says eat broccoli, right? My gut came back and they said, you don't have the biome, the bacteria, whatever, to process broccoli. You shouldn't eat it because your body can't actually process it properly. And so I get a list of foods I shouldn't eat. What was shocking is chocolate was on the list of things I should eat. And that was one of the things that I would always restrict and stop myself from eating. Broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts were the things I should not eat. And they were the things I kept eating to try and get in shape. And I was always inflamed and always overweight. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like skinny fat, got a huge stomach, but like tiny arms. It didn't make sense. The minute I shifted and only ate the foods that my body could process, gained muscle, lost weight, looked better, clothes hanging off of me. It's great. It's great.
No, that does sound great. So with that, I think you're going to have a few people interested in how to get a hold of you. I'm going to put up here your handles on
Perfect.
Instagram and Facebook.
Best way to get. I'm not the fitness expert. I'm just a customer. I'm still a customer of the program. I love it. I think it's great. But and full disclaimer, I invested in it because I was like, this thing's awesome. Like I've never found a workout that is completely custom to me. And that's what I like about it. If anyone ever is like, this is the best diet in the world, I'm like, yeah, but is it for everyone though? Is it? Have you tested? Because there are other people, like a good friend of mine has to eat cabbage. And it's like, okay, that's what they have to eat. And it's fine.
Wow. I've never heard someone say, hey, we're going to see what's good for your body. It's usually here's my program. Like,
doesn't that instantly resonate? And you're like, of course I've got to know what my body needs.
Well, because we all know that like me and my wife could eat something and it's like one thing gives me gas and she just loves it. And I'm like, dude, I can't eat these lentils. Like I was just like, my body does not do this.
You got it. Yeah. And when you get the report and it just shows you the foods, you're like, oh, okay. I understand.
Okay. What's that company, or how do people get a?
So, they message me on Instagram and I'll give you a direct introduction.
Yeah.
I can actually introduce you to the founder because, like I said, he's a buddy. I mean, we're business partners now, so I can just give you a direct introduction. It's also crazy cheap, which is even better. Like it's a flat one pay for lifetime, like coaching, like lifetime fitness coaching. It's crazy. Okay. So he doesn't charge by the hour. You pay one fee and then that's it. You just, you got him forever. And what I love about that, and this was one of the big tweaks that I made. And again, talk about disrupting, right? Let's keep it. Every other coach is motivated to get paid by the hour, right? So when a fitness coach works with you, they want you to get good, but they want you to keep working with them. So they're changing your workout all the time. They're doing all these reasons why you have to keep paying them. So when I took over the fitness company, we were like, well, what could be different? So this company, the focus is on making sure you don't need help because it's a flat fee at the front and you never pay again. So because of that, as fast as possible, the coaches want to make sure you know what you're doing so you never ask questions ever again. Which is great for you because it's the cheapest it can possibly be. And it's great for them because the faster they get you what you want, the less you phone them. So the coaches are motivated to get you a result. You're motivated to get you a result. And everyone's happy. And then if you fall off the wagon and 5 years later, you're like, you know what? I've completely fallen apart. You just contact them again. And it's still included. It's you've paid. It's okay. And they'll help you again.
That is very unique. Like, it's unique to a person and it's unique in the way you buy it. That's like, I think of doctors, like if they had more of an incentive like that too, where it's like, no, we need to like get you healthy as quick as we can, the quickest way.
Actually, that's what I love it. My local doctor has a system like that, which I love. My local doctor charges a monthly fee to see him beyond your insurance. It's like a fee that goes straight to him. And it's not expensive, but it's not, it's not free, right? It's an amount of money. It's like $200 a month or something, $50 a week. But what I love about it is for that, you get his phone number and you can text him.
Oh,
and yeah, you don't have to go to the office. You text him. And so when I'm not feeling well, I'll text him and describe my symptoms. And then he will either say, come in for testing, or he'll say, do these things. It won't get worse. But it's great because he diagnoses it based on what I'm saying to him. And he knows, like when he thought I had COVID, he was like, I need you to come in. You're going to stay in the car park. My nurse is going to come out and test you. We're not going to bring you into the facility. You don't have to wait in the waiting room. You feel terrible. It's great. It's like I pull up. The nurse comes out at the exact minute I arrive, does the test in the car. Then she goes back in. It's wonderful. So I'm in and out in a moment. But there are a lot of things where I'm like, if I've got like an injury, I'll take a picture of it and show it to him. And he's like, oh, no, this needs stitches. You are going to have to come in. Or no, this can be handled this way. And I love it because it's so fast and so efficient. But I imagine if he's got, 500 people in the area paying him $200 a month, that's really good for him on top of insurance and whatever the fees are as well. And he is saving time. No one has to go in the office. He's not doing these 30-minute, let me weigh you, let me make none of that stuff. But
sure.
As part of it, every 6 months, you have to do a full body check. And he does that every 6 months. So that's part of what you get. So he already has your data once or twice a year, which is done by his nurses, not his. So he's not eating his own time. And again, I love it because it's disruptive. It's not what everybody else does. And I know that even if I moved out the area, I'm not going to stop paying this guy. Because unless I can find another doctor with the same system, I can still text this guy and still communicate with him, right? And then if I have to go and see him, the additional hour drive of whatever it is made up for every time I didn't have to go.
Interesting. Yeah. So we kind of transitioned from the wealth, and I think we got to dial into this fitness thing because how important is fitness to you? Because to me, you're kind of like a high level guy because you must have a schedule that you're dealing with all these things. You're running your companies, consulting for other people. How does fitness play into that, and how important is that?
I mean, that's what I love about this program. It's 15 minutes twice a week. I mean, that's how much fitness is. It's important.
Or health.
I always wanted, right. Yeah. I always wanted to be a dad that could play with my kids. And that was really important to me. And I'm proud of the fact that I can pick up my kids and I can throw them around, even the 7 and 8 year olds, like it's not a problem. But at the same time, I'm not spending an hour at the gym every day and losing time with my kids. I'm not exchanging the health for time with my kids. And that's what I really love. I love food. I'm really big on food, and I love educating my kids about food, especially as I've come to learn more and more about it. And that's something that me and my kids bond over, right? So we have a farm. We grow our own food as well as supplement it with going to the grocery store. So we had a huge harvest of garlic, like too much garlic. At one point, I had garlic filled in my pantry, and I have a big pantry, like a walk-in pantry. And I was like, this is the most disgusting smell. All I can smell is garlic. And so we found a recipe to make garlic paste. It sounds crazy, but we worked it out. And you sort of like add olive oil and roast it. And we have a chef. I like cooking, but we have a chef that cooks as well. And so this is one of those ones, because we had so much garlic. I said, Chef, I love you. Please, can you make garlic paste out of everything? Because you can use garlic paste for all sorts of stuff, cooking, whatever. And so we got batches of this garlic paste come out. And but it was great because it tasted good. And anyway, so my kids love bread and butter. And obviously it's not the healthiest thing in the world, but they really love it. And I was like, we got all this garlic. And so I bought some prosciutto. And where I'm at is I made garlic bread with prosciutto, fresh garlic bread, like homemade, which I made out of the paste that we got. And so my kids, because we have a relationship with food, came up to, Dad, what's that? What's going on? I was like, oh, this is very special. This isn't really for children. And that's always like, this isn't really for you. And they're like, no, but Dad, I might like it. And I was like, well, I don't know that. You guys haven't tried this yet. And they go, Dad, you're always telling me I should try new things. And because that's like, I love this opt-in strategy with my kids. Like, no, Dad, I think we should try it. And I was like, all right, well, listen, it's very special. It's my favorite. You can have a bite of mine. You don't get your own. If you love it, I'll give you your own. Of course, my kid eats garlic bread for the first time. They've never had it before. So it's homemade garlic bread. And he's like, Dad, this is the best thing ever. I love it. Like, I really want to eat it. And so I just felt better because I was actually putting, garlic and protein into my kids on top of the bread and butter that normally they would eat anyway. So yeah, health is really important to us, but it's not something that eats up time. And I think that's really important. And we always use it as an opportunity to bond with the kids.
Interesting. I want to dive into a little bit of this time thing because I put a post out to people on my Facebook page asking dads, like, so what is the difficult parts of being a dad? And several people said on there, time management, balancing everything I can do to provide for like my kids, but also spend time with them. What do you kind of have in place with your strategies with that?
Time management is not a problem for me in any way whatsoever. It's probably one of my strongest suits. So to give you an idea of my day, I wake up early, really early, like 5 a.m. Between 5 and 7 a.m. is me time. That's where I do the stuff I want to do. So that's where I'm going to write a marketing promotion, or that's where I'm going to read a book I want to read, or that's where recently, especially coming up to Christmas, it's been watch a movie I want to watch that nobody else wants to watch, right? So it just depends. But my mornings for me, if I've got like when we had this promotion on Thursday, the one I was telling you about, my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, 5 to 7 was working on that, right? So that's when that happens. 7 o'clock is when my children wake up. My oldest is 12, nearly 13, and all my kids have farm chores. So they wake up at 7, crack of dawn, well, not really, but close enough to go and do farm chores, look after the animals and do everything. So I go back home at 7 to make sure my kids are up and doing everything they want. While they're doing that, I slowly wake up the little kids and I sit and snuggle to them. So my 2-year-old and me will watch TV in the morning, we'll watch some kind of cartoon. I'm blessed that I've been able to get him into anime as opposed to just constantly watching, Pixar movies, which is good. But sometimes we end up watching Pixar movies just depending on how he feels. So then we'll hang out with the kids. Now, the kids have a hierarchy of age where they prepare each other's breakfast. So at this point, the 2 older ones prepare food for the 3 little ones. And, we have a pretty good say over it. The food tends to be mostly healthy. We stay away from breakfast foods as best we can. And so 8 o'clock is when our nanny comes in. We have a full-time nanny. We actually have 2 nannies. So our full-time nanny comes in at 8. And at 8 till 9, I still hang out with the kids. I don't just go, okay, see you later, kids. What I do is I allow the nanny to help with some of the cleaning and tidying up after breakfast and doing that stuff while I still bond with the kids. So I'll hang out with them. I'll eat my breakfast with them. The nanny will often make me breakfast as well, which is really cool. My breakfast tends to be a little bit more complicated than the kids because obviously all the foods and everything that I do. So that makes it really cool. 9 o'clock is when work starts. I come to the office, I sit down and I work. From 9 to 9:45 is my time in the office where I'll tidy up anything I haven't done. I'll sometimes have a meeting with my vice president, who's also my wife. And so we'll sit down and we do work talk then to keep work out of the bedroom, right? So that's when we're going to have that. 9:45 to 10:45, we have a stand-up company meeting. I don't run it. I turn up at the beginning, say some inspiring words, and I get out of it, let them handle the KPIs. It's another hour of uninterrupted work. What I'm getting at is my morning has 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted work when nobody can bother me. No staff, no kids, no nothing. And I've already spent 2 hours hanging out with my children in the morning. So that's 6 hours of the day right there. And we're not even at noon. From 10:45 until 5, that's when my other children demand all my time. And that's my stuff. That's where I'm answering questions. I'm going to interviews. I'm coaching. I'm helping companies. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I have a hard stop at 5 o'clock. I literally had somebody try and put me on a podcast today at 5. And I explain to everybody what I thought about that because it's not happening because my kids have a Christmas party they're going to at 6 p.m. I mentioned earlier we own a retail store. The retail store is having a pizza Christmas party and I'm taking my kids to the Christmas party and nothing is going to stop me. I don't care how famous this person is. They're pretty famous. But it's not happening because my kids come first. So from 5 o'clock until 9 is kids time. That's where we watch movies together. We play video games. I've been coloring with my daughter recently. Like that's when we're going to do all that stuff. So my kids get, again, another 4 hours of dedicated dad time. I cook food in the evening. We don't have the chef do that. So I'll cook special food. I usually cook my wife something that's like phenomenal because she's really into my cooking. She actually prefers my cooking to restaurants. So I'll like really go all out. I'll do like what I do the other day. I made a homemade butternut squash risotto with steamed mussels that I steamed and then added a tomato sauce to it. Right. So like completely from scratch cooked food. At 9 o'clock, all the young kids go to bed. We have nighttime routine. I put my daughter to bed. My wife puts the 2 young boys to bed. My wife's Russian, so she speaks Russian to the 2 boys and teaches them Russian. My daughter's not as interested in Russian, so we sit and we do nursery rhymes or whatever that we do. At 9 p.m., it's adult time. And so from 9 until midnight, or to 11, depending, me and my wife hang out. We watch movies. We do adult stuff. The older boys are awake, but they're in their room playing video games and doing whatever it is that they want to do. That's when we'll have friends come over and visit, come over at 8:30. They'll be around as we put the kids to bed. And then the next day it starts again. And that's what we do Monday through Friday. It's the same pattern. It's the same routine. I do 2 15-minute workouts on a Monday and a Thursday that I do in the middle of the workday just after lunch. A little bit later than lunch, but you get the idea. Saturday, every other Saturday is a work day, but it's only a half day. And I explained before, because we know that we make the most money at noon on a Saturday. So every other Saturday, we'll do some kind of promotion, make a whole bunch of cash. Sunday, no work whatsoever, purely for kids or for friends, socializing, and that's it. And that's the routine. And we stick to it all day, every day, no change.
I want to know, where did you learn this, right? Because you actually defended that time where you said someone famous is even trying to come into my schedule and kind of throw it off. But you've already clearly decided no one is doing that, or at least that,
yeah. if I turn around to my kids and I say, hey guys, listen, I know we had a plan tonight to go to the game store that I bought so you guys could hang out at the game store. And I know we're throwing that big Christmas pizza party and all your friends are going to be there. But this famous guy you've never heard of has decided that tonight's the night that I'm going to get on his podcast. And that podcast may or may not turn into a single person wanting to give me money. So I'm sorry, children, I'm going to break my Christmas promise to you for this stranger you don't know. That's terrible. That's like the worst dad in the world as far as I'm concerned. On the flip side, hey, person that didn't go through the system correctly and didn't communicate with my assistant well enough and is now trying to last minute make me go on a podcast. I'm sorry. If you're a decent human, you'll understand that it's the night before Christmas Eve. It ain't happening. I appreciate you. I'd love to do something with you next year. And if that's no good, you and I aren't going to get on anyway, and there's no point me doing the podcast. Like, if you don't get who I am, this isn't going to work. But my kids are going to a Christmas party tonight. And they're going to eat pizza, and they're going to play games, and they're going to have an amazing night. And that's what's happening this evening.
That's great. So where'd you learn to structure life like this? Or did you come out of like school doing this, or?
Yeah, no, I really didn't. I was a complete loser. I had no schedule. I did everything as I felt. I was very impulse driven. I did whatever I felt like. My parents, I would say my best parent is the one that went to jail for 20 years. So if that puts in perspective my upbringing, I didn't have a good upbringing. I just didn't want to be anything like any of them. And like I said, my best parent, the one who went to jail, was awesome. I mean, he was just a phenomenal dad and just such a great human being, but he was never around. And I remember growing up wanting to play with him, wanting to hang out with him. And even when he wasn't in jail, he wasn't around. Like, he was off doing things, which I suspect is criminal activity at this point. But he was never around. And all you want as a kid is, like, I remember I wanted my dad to play with me. And he played with me sometimes. I remember playing video games with him, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And I remember doing that. That was, like, so much fun. But then when he wasn't around, I was just sit and play on my own and be like, I wish my dad was here. I wish my dad was here. I wish my dad was here. And so that's in my head, right? I wish my dad was here. I wish my dad was here. My kids won't say that. Now, that's not true because they still say it. Like, when I go to work, my daughter is every day like, Dad, don't go to work today. I'm like, I'm in a building 20 feet from here. Like, just if you want me, come and see me in the office, right? They know where I am. But to them, any hour I'm not there sucks. But the reality is I spend hours with my kids, like hours. And maybe I'm not giving them all 100% detailed attention. But we have a system for that too, because I travel a lot. And it was really funny. I had a guy try and call me out online. He's like, you're always traveling. You're on private jets and, you're in all these different countries. I thought you were a good dad. And I was like, yeah, I am a good dad. And they're like, well, when you're traveling, where are your kids? And so we got in this huge argument. And so now I've actually started showing people, because on every trip, I take one child and I cycle through the 5 kids. On a trip, I think my next trip I'm going to is San Diego. My next trip's Colombia. And in Colombia, one of my kids, whichever one's next in line, will get to go with me. Now, if they misbehave, they get grounded, then we skip a kid. And so no one will go on that trip. And that kid will be devastated. And that's the punishment. So the kids know, okay, I have to have good behavior. I have to listen, but they get to travel the world. And so the most recent one we did a trip to the Caribbean. And it was a business trip. We were doing a mastermind on a cruise ship. It's actually probably the best thing we do. We don't believe anyone gets changed in 2 days. So our masterminds, you come and live on a boat with us for 7 days, and we actually dig into your business. We get to know your business. We get to see it intimately, and we fix it, like right there and then. But 7 days away from our kids is a lot. So we'll take one. This time we actually took 2 kids. We took the oldest and one of the little ones. And they spent 7 days on the cruise ship with us at the mastermind. And we always tell business owners, you can bring your families on this event. This is not a don't bring your family event. Quite the opposite. Bring your family and get to learn work-life balance, because we teach this on the ship. But it's great because our kids get to come with us. They don't come into the seminar room. We have somebody that looks after them. Actually, cruise ships are really good at that. But they come to dinner. They come to all the events. And the kids get one-on-one time with me and their mom without the other siblings there. So this is where we really bond and we really get to know them. So the 4-year-old that came on that trip was terrified of water, and the trip had water slides. The boat had water slides. We went to a giant water park together. And I spent, I don't know, 7 hours getting him over a fear of going on water slides. And at the end, he did it. And he was like the last day and he was in the water slides constantly. And he's like, I did it. I'm so excited. And as a parent of 5 kids, if I didn't have that one-on-one time, I would probably never have noticed that one of my kids was terrified of water slides. And so by getting him over that fear, we bonded a lot and, you know, we had that real connection. And I think that's so important as a parent. So that system of balance really came from that drive of, I don't ever want my kids to say, Dad wasn't there. I want my kids to, you know, maybe they'll say it because that's just what kids do. But when they talk to another kid and the other kid's like, oh yeah, me too. You know, my dad, you know, was gone 6 days a week working on an oil rig and I only saw him on Sundays. And my kid's like, oh, I had breakfast with him every day for 2 hours. And then he was there in the evening. You know, like I want my kids to be like, wait a minute, my dad was always there. So that's
interesting because now you're just giving them almost the opposite of what you got, right? You know?
Right. Yeah. And that's the goal. That's the drive. That became the thing. Like, sure. And the only way I could do that was being very regulated about my time and being strict.
Yeah, I am definitely gleaning that from you, like the systems and schedule. Like I want to strive to be more like that. So
nice.
I like that you are involving your kids in your business, kind of. So they're seeing some aspect of it. So do you hope for them to be entrepreneurs, or you want to just kind of like let them see so much of it that it's like almost natural that they would be like, oh, I'll just invest in businesses. I'll just start a business. I'll just do an offer, right?
So a couple of things. So one, I want my kids to be what they want to be. And that's it. I don't care if they're rich. I don't care if they're poor. I just want them to be happy. And that's my number. And I've told them the goal of life is to be happy. I was like, let me solve the puzzle of life for you. It is to be happy. Be happy. If being happy is you sitting in front of a video game and playing video games, that's what you have to do. Just do that. Don't worry about doing anything else. Just do that. Just make sure you got enough money that you can afford the video games. You can afford food. You know, that's the only thing I care about. As part of this, we were thinking, what is the best inheritance we can give our children? Because we're multimillionaires. And we decided the best inheritance is no money whatsoever. So all of our kids know they're not getting anything, not a penny. What we are giving them that they don't know is we're going to give them a house each, but we're not talking like a big fancy house. We're buying them small investment properties, like we're talking 2-3 bedroom houses in the Midwest, like nothing they're ever going to want to live in. And it's a house for them. And when we pass, they will be given the deeds to that house and they can sell it. They can move into it. They can use it as a deposit. They can keep it renting out and have the residual income, whatever they want. But the gift is a roof over their head. So that way I can say what I gave my kids was a roof over their head. And the true inheritance is knowledge. The true inheritance is everything I learned, because it's not what my parents gave me. I didn't have that blessing. This library behind me is used. I've read every book. And that's what it looks like. It's like 7 books. There's a lot more books. But that's the gift that I gave my kids and what I give my kids. So to give you an example of this, my 12-year-old cheated in school. And I noticed it because his grades dropped. I know it sounds weird, but my kid was like A grade. And then he started getting B's out of nowhere. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I went to look and I saw that he was finishing school early. My kids are homeschooled and he was finishing faster than ever before. And that's when I realized he'd worked out how to guess the answers in the exams. And he'd got so good at guessing that he was scoring A's and B's, but he didn't have to study or read any of the material. He was going straight to the exam and accurately within a margin of error, guessing and getting B's and A's. That's how smart my 12-year-old is. And so I pulled him to one side and I was like, all right, listen. Oh, and he Googled answers as well. That was the other thing he did. But he didn't do it. He Googled beforehand, like to get a summary. So I said to him, very clever. So I said, okay, first of all, you're not in trouble. And I know this is weird, but I want to explain why. The skill set you showed is exactly the skill set that's going to make you successful in life. You outthought the problem. You were efficient. You got it done with an acceptable margin of error. I mean, holy crap, dude. Like, as a parent, yes, do that in life. Good for you. We do have a problem, though. You're not learning anything. That's a problem. I was like, so here's what we're going to do. During school days, when you finish school, and you can keep cheating, I don't care. You're going to come to my office, and your punishment, reward, how you want to look at it, is you have to spend 2 to 3 hours a day sitting in the office reading books with Dad. It's like, so I'm going to give you a book. You're going to sit, there's a sofa right next to me. I was like, you're going to sit on the sofa next to the window, and you will read the books I give you. And you will not be on your phone. You will not do anything else. You're going to read. And so my kid has read I Will Teach You to Be Rich. My kid has read, he read my book, Brain Hacking, which is on Amazon, which is all about like learning how to read the subconscious, your own subconscious mind, and hear the impulses and control them, which is obviously something I do a lot of. He's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just basically every major business book I can think of that people should read. That's what my kid reads every single day. Not at the moment because we're on winter break, but that's what he does. That's awesome. And that's the best gift I can give my kid. And if you ask my 12-year-old business questions, the answers he gives, I would say, are as good as any low-level business coach. I mean, I don't think I'd trust a multi-million-dollar business in his hands yet, but like the beginner business coaches that probably shouldn't be teaching, his answers are just as good. And that's at 12. When he is 18, 20, 30, this kid's knowledge of business and what he does is going to be phenomenal. And that's the gift. That's the inheritance. And so to me, I don't know if it gives insight, but that's kind of like how I manage my kids' education, manage their time, and handle them to make sure they get even more dad time. So the more they show an aptitude of breaking systems and thinking their way through problems, which would get punished in regular school, here you're rewarded with, okay, well, you're going to get more time with Dad because I want to keep an eye on you. And you're going to read and you're going to learn and you're going to be able to self-teach, which is probably going to be better for you when you're 20, 30, 40.
Yeah, I love what you're creating. I had literally just heard that this week, like how school prepares you like in this way that's not really like good for life in the future. Maybe to be a good employee, to always be told what to do, but like cheating on tests, like, no, it's all about you and what only you know, compared to like, is life and business really like that? Should it be? Or should it be, no, draw on your teams.
Right. Yeah, and accessing resources. What I love is when I was in school and they said, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. Really? Really? Because yes, I am. I have literally have a calculator in my pocket. Literally, it's crazy. It's the
they were wrong.
They said, right? And they were totally wrong. And that's the whole point. No, the current education system was built in the industrial age by the Prussians. And the whole point, it was Horace Mann designed it so that people would ask less questions and feel stupid. And the idea is you feel stupid because you're either excel and you're an A-star student, at which point you're put in charge of technology or management, or you're not, and then you're an industrial worker. And so you're supposed to feel dumb. You're like, oh my God, I'm terrible. But actually, some of the smartest people are problem solvers, and problem solvers don't store information in their head because it's a waste of brain power. They want freedom in their head to be creative. And so I'm cultivating that creativity in my kids. And, I've got one kid that says he's going to be a chef. I've got one that says he's going to be a YouTube streamer. I've got a daughter that's going to be a surgeon and also a YouTuber. So a YouTube surgeon, I don't know what that's going to be. Like, and the truth is they don't know what they're going to be. They got no idea. Like my oldest kid wants to manage the game shop, right? So they don't know, and I don't care. I just want to make sure they have the tools to build the life they want. That's it. And then good on them. Go be happy.
That's awesome, Adam. And I don't know if you know that you're inadvertently like fulfilling a proverb in the Bible that does say houses are an inheritance from parents. So you kind of are inadvertently doing that, even though you don't want to pass on the wealth side.
That's cool.
So
yeah, I had no idea.
Well, this has been just really awesome. I appreciate your insights. I think you have a ton of value to really bring people with your systems and just being that father, that entrepreneur. And I just really want to encourage people to check out your podcast, keep listening to Adam. And actually, I wanted to ask you, I know you had another book coming out. Where is that in process, or have you put out?
So we have the S.M.A.R.T Blueprint book coming out, and it's being edited right now. It's phenomenal. Like I say phenomenal as the guy that edited it, or the first edit, it's going through a second edit, but the first edit, he was halfway through the book and he has his own business. And he thought, I wonder if I'll just test some of the stuff inside here. So he was on the revenue section and he tested the revenue section. And we have a testimony. He made $70,000 overnight.
Wow.
So we paid him nowhere near that amount of money to edit. And he filmed a testimonial and was like, I can't believe this. Like, he's like, I was going through it and I was like, this is good stuff. I'll test one thing, and made $70,000. So yeah, we're really, really proud.
When is that coming out?
As soon as it's edited. We're looking at Q1, Q2 next year. And it's my pièce de résistance for business. Like it's a kind of like a step-by-step guide for any small business to just fix your company and make more money.
Awesome. All right. Well, Adam, I thank you for being here.
Thank you.
To all you guys listening, a Father's Flame podcast, we're about putting energy and effort into your faith, family, finances, and fitness. Learn from what you heard today. Adam is heavy on systems. It has benefited him well. Reach out to Adam if you want any more information. And that was at Adam Lyons.
Yeah, find him on Instagram.
Find him on Instagram. And so keep putting that work in and strive to be better than you were today. And so the husband, the father that you are in 1 year is going to thank you for all the energy and effort that you're putting in today for that change. So that's it for today.
Thank you.